Welcome back to India's first online course on Swayam portal by UGC. The course is Introduction to Jainism. Today we are going to talk about probably the most controversial topic in Jainism and even wider studies, the issue of women's liberation. Not political liberation, not social liberation, but spiritual liberation, moksha for women. Are women allowed to attain moksha? In Hinduism, probably yes, the answer would be yes. In Buddhism, probably the answer would be yes. Although the issue in Buddhism is a bit more complicated because the Buddha did not allow women to join his order, his Sangha. He allowed later with a lot of reluctance, and apparently he prophesied that now that I've allowed women in my Sangha will perish within few centuries, and apparently it's very controversial. But in Jainism also it's very controversial. There are two sects in Jainism, Digambar and Shwetambar. Both have been apparently arguing on this issue for centuries. Are women allowed to attain moksha? Digambar says yes or no, we'll see. Shwetambar people say different things. So let's take a deeper dive into this idea of Stri Moksha, women's spiritual liberation, debates in Digambaras and Shwetambaras. Digambaras are usually translated as sky-clad. Shwetambaras are called as white-clad because of the robe that they wear, white-clad. Shwet, ambar, white-clad. Digambar, no ambar, no cloth at all in Digambar, for monks and nuns. All right. Now, origin of the controversy. Where does this controversy begin? It begins from the fact that Mahavira, who is believed to have been present on this planet in India, in northern India, Bihar, from 599 to 527 BCE, and all the legends tell us that Mahavira, even though born as a prince in a royal kingdom, in a royal family, royal palace, but as he becomes a monk at the age of 30, he renounces all his clothing. Even the last piece of cloth he completely renounces and lives his rest of his entire life, next 42.5 years that he is alive in India in that time, he has lived completely naked, completely without clothes. So that has become a point of contention. Is clothing allowed while you're practicing spirituality in the Jain tradition? So that is the origin of the controversy. The word used is, especially in Digambar texts, the word used is Achelak Jina. Achelak means without clothes, Jina, who has conquered himself, the conqueror, the spiritual naked conqueror, a crude translation of Achelak Jina would be. All right, so now Digambars took this as literal truth that Mahavir practiced complete nudity. So Nagna Digambar, naked monk, naked ascetic in Jainism with a male body is a prerequisite for moksha. That's the Jin Kalpin, that's the symbol for this, for a Jin, for a Jina, for a conqueror, spiritual conqueror, a Jain conqueror, Jain spiritual conqueror. The prerequisite, the symbol, his identity is defined by a male naked body, just like Mahavir had. That they just took it literally and figuratively. That is the prerequisite. That is the identity of a spiritual conqueror. So now women have always some clothing. So even in Digambar sect, women always, even after becoming an ascetic, becoming a sadhvi, they always wear white robe, right? White clothing. So they are called as Aryikas. Arya, from the word Arya. Arya simply means noble. So Aryika, a noble woman, a saint, a sadhvi in Digambar sect. Now they say that clothes symbolize possessions, attachments. Because you're always having these clothes, you need them all the time. So you are attached to your clothing. So that prevents you from even trying for moksha. That prevents you from attaining moksha, according to the Digambar sect. Now, interestingly, even male ascetics, those who are practicing complete nudity, even they have some tools in their hand. They have a Rajoharan. Rajoharan means, Raj means soil or sand, mitti. Haran, remover. So they use some kind of a broom that is made out of peacock feathers. So as they walk, they clean the land, they clean their path, and then they walk so that they don't even accidentally, They're not supposed to step on a bug or any insect or a reptile, so they always clear the land, then they walk. So they are using Rajoharan. Is that possession? Is that attachment? That's the question mark on male ascetics, male Digambar ascetics. They also use Kamandal for water, for cleaning themselves after toilet and so on. So Kamandal and Rajoharan, even male ascetics are carrying, but that is treated as an exception. That is not attachment. So that's where the difference already the controversy has started now, right? That female, you're saying, from the argument is that the clothes are attachments. What about male ascetics? Even though they are practicing complete nudity, complete nakedness, they still have Rajoharan and Kamandal. Aren't they attachment? That's a question mark, and question is unresolved. So from Digambar perspective, women ascetics in Digambar, because of the white robe in Digambar tradition, they are equal to Shwetambar monks. Shwetambar monks also wear white robes. So they are no better than Shwetambar monks, who are just because they also have this white robe, so they also have this attachment. And women can be seen as higher Shravakas. So evolved Shravakas, evolved householders. Shravakas means householders. So even though you take renunciation in Digambar sect, even though women ascetics are like evolved householders because of the clothing that they have, they are always wearing. So this is all about Digambar. Now come to Shwetambar side. In Shwetambar side, they say more progressively, I guess, so they take nakedness as figurative. They say nakedness is Kali Varjya. We are in the Kali Yuga, one of the most corrupted, immoral age. In this time, in this age, nakedness cannot be practiced. Nakedness is even, they call it anti-canonical. Nakedness is not highlighted in any of the Jain canon, Jain text, Jain scriptures. So why get so obsessed about nakedness? Shwetambar argument. This is the Shwetambar argument. By the way, all that I'm presenting today, most of it is covered by Professor Padmanabh S. Jaini. I'm simply summarizing his arguments. He took all the major Jain texts from Digambar and Shwetambar side, and he compiled an article. Professor Jaini passed away in 2023, I believe, in California. But he was a practicing Jain, and he was a great scholar at UC Berkeley. So I'm summarizing all these points from his great article on these debates between Digambars and Shwetambars on the issue of spiritual liberation, moksha of women. So coming back, Shwetambar. So Shwetambars are saying that nakedness, let's not get obsessed about it. Let's not take it literally. Let's take it figuratively. Nakedness is not mentioned in any Jain scriptures. So don't get hung up on that, according to Shwetambars. They say, Shwetambars say, clothes are like dharma upkaran. Clothes are good instruments and tools in your evolution towards spiritual liberation, towards your moksha. Use them as you progress in your journey towards moksha. Don't be, again, obsessed with nakedness. Use clothes, but don't be attached to clothes and keep progressing towards moksha. That is Shwetambar argument. So conclusively, by Shwetambar side, moksha is very much allowed, possible for both men and women. Just because they are wearing clothes should not prohibit them from attaining moksha, according to Shwetambar argument. And this argument is similar to Yapaniya sect, the third sect that I covered in the history presentation, that Yapaniya sect was eventually merged with Digambar side. And so that argument is Yapaniya sect had some features that were similar to Shwetambaras, some arguments that were similar to Digambaras. So in this issue, Yapaniya sect was similar to Shwetambaras, so Yapaniya sect itself is now extinct. There are only two sects, Digambar and Shwetambar. All right, next point. Now, so from Shwetambar side, very progressively, again, figurative argument, they say women are capable of attaining moksha because they can pretty much completely practice, completely show these tendencies of Ratnatrayaha, the three jewels of Jainism. What are the three jewels again? Right view, Samyak Darshan, right knowledge, Samyak Gyan, right conduct, Samyak Charitra. Since women can practice all these three perfectly, they can attain perfect knowledge, perfect view, perfect philosophy, and perfect conduct. If they can have all these three jewels in their personality, who can stop them from attaining moksha? So women are very much capable of attaining moksha from Shwetambar perspective. Next point. But now Digambar perspective, very, very critical of women. So are you ready? Here we go. So women are incapable of attaining moksha because women are ineligible of going to the lowest hell. so they are also ineligible to attain moksha. The extremes, women just don't have the capability of attaining the two extremes of highest heaven and lowest hell. They are somewhere in between, according to Digambar perspective. Then, second point, they say women are unable to renounce their clothes, so they are unable to attain moksha, Digambar perspective. Third point, very, very, really controversial. They say that women are poor in debates. They are poor debaters. So they don't have that capability of proper debates, so they are unable to attain moksha. Then they say, but to conclude this slide, both Digambars and Shvetambars are putting women a little bit inferior to men. Both, even Shvetambar side. Even though they can attain moksha from Shvetambar perspective, but in the monastery, in the Sangha, if a male ascetic, even though he could be just like 5 or 7 years of age, a senior woman ascetic, a nun, comes to the Sangha, comes to that location, a woman of high seniority, high age, must bow down to a male ascetic who might be just 7 years of age. So women are always inferior in ranking, in seniority to a male monk, even though by age, women could be higher, by seniority she could be higher, but she has to bow down. This applies even in Buddhism. In Buddhism and in all sects of Jainism, women in that sense are always inferior to males, which is again once very highly controversial, can be seen as highly controversial, but this again quoting from the Jain texts which are summarized by Professor Jaini. So women in that sense are always inferior, but they are at least eligible for moksha in Shvetambar sect, not in Digambar sect. Now let's take more arguments. What are the arguments? Now, the gender issue. Jainism says, probably Jainism could be one of the first tradition, first philosophy, first religion of the world that recognize officially that there are 3 genders. Just like in Sanskrit language, there are 3 genders: pulling, striling, and napumsakling, male, masculine, feminine, and neuter. In Jainism, the genders are male, female, and hermaphrodite. So that's the 3rd gender was accepted by Jainism. And gender could be physical or psychological. That debate is always also open in Jainism. So there was this debate about genders thousands of years back in Jainism: physical or psychological. Is it by your body or by your tendencies, psychological tendencies? That was the debate in Jainism at least 3,000 years back, at least more than 2,500 years back for sure. All right. Now Digambar argument is saying female body is ineligible to attain moksha. Highly controversial topics. They say women's body is a life breeding grounds. The different parts of women's body are life breeding grounds for millions of microbes and other beings. So that makes them ineligible for moksha, because those bacteria, those microbes are getting born and dying, and all those things are happening in all the time. It might be happening in male body also. But Digambar texts are highlighting women's body as a problem. Second, they say, Digambar texts are saying that women's body continuously are producing injury-causing fluids, hinsa. So a lot of violence is happening because of those fluids, such as menstruation or labor, childbirth, and so on, leads to a lot of these, once again, injury-causing fluids and microbes and so on. So that's again more unintentional violence happening in women's body all the time. So that is another issue, another problem. Third, Digambar texts are saying that women have inherently more sexual desire, shame, and fear. So they have this inherent need for clothing. Because they have these things, desire, shame, and fear, they have this implicit need for clothing. Again, highly controversial, but again, just quoting and citing the actual Jain text as summarized by Professor Jaini. So these are highly controversial topics, controversial points. But that is how Digambar texts are saying that women's body is ineligible for attaining moksha. Now, Shvetambar's counterpoint from Shvetambar perspective, they say, Shvetambar texts are saying, clothes are possessions but not attachments. Again, use them as a tool as you evolve spiritually. Don't get attached. Don't even, in your criticism, don't be obsessed about clothes. In your spiritual progress, don't be obsessed about clothes. Don't be attached for your clothes, and just have them, possess them, wear them, use them, but don't have that attachment. Then you're okay. Then Shwetambar side is saying now, clothes are compelled upon a nun. A woman ascetic is compelled to wear clothes not because she has any issues in her mind, but because the society forces these clothes on a woman. So it's the society's fault, not woman's fault. That's a very interesting argument, counterpoint from Shwetambar side. But Digambar says, no, even though society is forcing these clothes on them, clothes itself can become a breeding ground for lice, for different kinds of, once again, different kinds of insects and so on. So just some kind of, weird kind of an argument from Digambar side. So again, this debate has been going on for centuries between Digambars and Shwetambars. Next point, Digambar say, the issue of debates now. Are women inferior in debates? Digambar texts are saying that women are unable to develop occult powers. They cannot invoke guardian deities in their debates. But males can invoke deities, guardian deities, devtas and so on, that can help them as they debate. Again, very strange argument from Digambar side. Shwetambar counterpoint, they say, Tirthankaras, those who attained enlightenment, they were silent. They were not even debating. So why debate is an issue? Moksha is a spiritual progress of cleansing yourself of karma particles. Debate is not a prerequisite for attaining moksha. So why make it an issue? Then, so that is exactly they're saying. So Tirthankaras are silent after getting enlightenment. They are not even debating with anybody. So debate is not a prerequisite from Shwetambar perspective. Once again, this debate between Digambar and Shwetambar. Then, now, Digambars are saying that women can achieve high stage, but only as a Chakravarti. Chakravarti is the highest state for a householder. It's like a large, huge established emperor who can help others, who can support others moksha, but he himself has not yet attained moksha, but he supports and he maintains peace and peace and order in his kingdom, so people can progress spiritually. So women can attain that kind of a stage, but not moksha. And Indra is the highest state for gods from Digambar perspective. Now this is the last slide, and that will complete our today's discussion on women's issue. They say, even though with all these debates and issues and controversies about women, world's largest, longest and oldest tradition of nuns, of sadhvis, of women ascetics was always with Jainism. Jains have this privilege of supporting flourishing order, Sangha of women ascetic. The Buddhist women ascetic did not flourish in India that much. But Jain ascetic order, women have been flourishing. So even today, even in Mahavir's times, 14,000 monks were there. Male ascetics were only 14,000. Female ascetics, nuns, were 36,000. Even in Mahavir's time, more than 2,500 years ago, women ascetics were more than double of the number of male ascetics. Even today, in today's Jain world, in today's India, there are 6,000 female ascetics. The nuns are approximately 6,000. Monks are only 2,500, 2,500. So again, once again, more than double of male ascetics, we find female ascetics in today's Jain world, in today's India. And there are around 100 Digambar monks. There are no Digambar nuns, but they are Aryikas, a rank lower than Digambar monks. So this completes our presentation on women's issues today in Jainism. Thank you.